In this video, I'm going to introduce the concept of parallel lines and transversal. So let me draw a couple of parallel lines. And parallel lines, as most of you probably recall, are lines that are on the plane that will never intersect. In other words, they will never touch. Right? And I'm drawing these arrows here to show that these lines go on forever. And that's one parallel line. Where's the other parallel line? I'll draw it right below it. And even if they don't look precisely parallel, just trust me, they are. All right. So I've got two parallel lines, and now I am going to bisect them. I'm going to cut across them. And the line that cuts across them, this is known as a transversal. That is the word that describes the line that cuts across two parallel lines. And there you go. That is the transversal. So this line is the transversal, and here is a set of parallel lines. And as you can see, and why don't we just label this? I'm going to label this as line AB. I'll label this as line CD, so we can refer to it. And I'm going to label the transversal as, well, why don't we just go with T for transversal? Okay? And as you can see, there's been a series of angles that have been formed here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and let's just write in some numbers. I'm going to call that angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, angle 4. And then there are a series of angles formed here, and I'm going to call those angles 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, so there are 8 angles that have been formed by the transversal bisecting the, or intersecting the parallel lines. And as you can see, and it might be obvious to you, it might not, that there are relationships between these angles. And we refer to these angles by where they are. And the first type of angle is what's known as a corresponding angle. And what are corresponding angles? Corresponding angles are on the same side of the transversal and in corresponding positions. So for instance, angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding angles. They meet that definition. And once again, they are angles that are on the same side of the transversal and in corresponding positions. Okay? So here's the transversal. Angle 1 and angle 5 are both on the left side of it, and they are both, if you will, above the parallel line. So let me just highlight that if I can in yellow. So angle 1 and angle 5 would be an example of corresponding angles. And so would angles 2 and 6. And of course, another set of corresponding angles, I'm going to try and do this in blue so that we don't muddy the waters too much. Let's see, if I circle 3 and 7, those are corresponding angles. They are on the right side of the transversal, and they are below, as you can see, the parallel lines. So those are what are known as corresponding angles. The next thing that I need to talk to you about are what are known as alternate interior angles. And these are very, very interesting, and we're going to be doing some very interesting things with them. So alternate interior angles are inside the lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. Okay, so they're inside the parallel lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. So for instance, angle 4 and angle 6 are alternate interior angles. I know that these two angles, 4 and 6, are congruent. So I can say that 4 and 6 are congruent. I can also say that, that 3 and 5 would be congruent as well. Okay? So once again, alternate interior angles are inside the parallel lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. So 4 and 6 and 3 and 7. Those would be the pairs of alternate interior angles. And that is an introduction to parallel lines, corresponding angles, and alternate interior angles.